Hello and welcome to my first speed draw. I wanted to start out by explaining that I had already drawn the sketch, like the messy sketch and then the secondary sketch, before I planned on making this video, but it was a project that I wanted to get done, so I just went ahead and started on the line art process, and I eventually just finished this piece all in one go. Once I get into other speed draws, you'll see more of my process for sketching out a picture beforehand. Without the sketch, this piece took about 2 hours and a half, I believe, or 2 hours and 40 minutes, something like that. And so I've been starting to time how long it takes me to do art, because I'm going to be doing commissions and I would like to base my commission pay based on how long it takes me to do a piece. So I'm starting to figure out like how long it takes me to do a piece, like how many steps, how long each step takes. So essentially I just found out that the lining process and coloring, shading, and a very light, quick gradient-like background took about 2.5 hours. I also apologize for any poor voice quality. I had a case of the snuffles recently, and so my first voiceover is not quite a great representative of what I sound like on the daily. This subject is none other than my best friend. It was something that I wanted to start on so she could have in time for Halloween, because it's got like a cute little witch hat, and the dress made me think that it was like peasant-like because of the billowed sleeves, and I thought that it would be really cute to have it all purpley, as you'll. For this piece, I did not have a reference. I see my best friend a lot, so her face is just kind of ingrained into my memory, and I didn't want to get too much into details because I'm capable of slightly more realism, but I wanted to keep this more on the cartoony side, something that's a little more stylized for, a fun season. It's also why I chose a more simple outfit, and as you'll see, the hat remains very simple, very plain. I just wanted to make a piece that had some fun purple colors in it, that also had just the focus on like the face and the hair, because those are the main characteristics that I think about my friend when I ever think about drawing her. I don't always focus on heavier outlines of pieces like this, but it was something that just kind of felt right after one of the few strokes I did was a little bit larger, and I just really loved the look of it, so I continued that theme across, and it really created a nice dimension to the piece that I usually don't have in other pieces. It's just a bit of a style choice, whichever piece feels like it needs it, whether I want just, thin lines for something that might be more detailed, or just something like this that's a little bit more fun, and so I want to add some weight that'll draw more focus and add more texture to something that doesn't have a lot of detail or really deep shading or anything that's going to make it look like a painting. Here I took a screenshot of a photo that she had edited out when we were like having a little picnic, and the filter that she used it's funny because that's kind of a color palette that I really associate with her. Those like light and deep purples, like this purple hue over everything. It's like mystical and soft. And in real life, her hair is a little bit more of like a natural red, but for this piece I made it a slightly more purple, like burgundy red, just so it would have that feeling like it already has this like purple filter over it. For anyone wondering, the program that I'm using is a free software called Fire Alpaca. Originally, when I first started using it, I didn't have a lot of information about how to use it from the creators themselves, because it was a Chinese product, and so Mandarin was the language. So I mostly learned how to use this program just intuitively, and I have to say it is a really great first learning tool, and it's something that I just ended up sticking with because I got so used to it. There might be a time in the future where I switch over to a different system and go through that whole learning curve, but for now this is really serving me well, and I haven't reached a lot of blocks or anything that hinders me from doing what I want with my art. So until then, I'll probably just keep using this. One of my favorite things about this program is that the stabilizer is slightly different from what I've experienced in different programs when I have tested them on either free trials or other people's computers, systems, things like that. There's something about it that really makes sense. It's just a number scale, and so it stabilizes your pen stroke to be smoother. Of course, it'll take longer to draw, or it'll be faster to draw, to drag, or it'll be more jittery with your exact hand and pen movements. And so I'll frequently go back and forth, especially while I'm sketching. Like while I'm sketching, I'll put it on a lower number so that I can really get into the sketching and not have to worry about how good the line actually looks. And then once I get into the line art process, that's where I start to add a little bit more stabilization so that any of my lines don't look so jittery. Over time, I've noticed that I've been able to build the skill of being more steady-handed, so I don't have to use such a high setting all of the time. I really started to enjoy how the shading was looking on this piece. I usually don't do both cell and soft shading when I'm just making something for fun, except when it's pieces like these where I really want to put heart into it. I want to make sure that I really finish this piece off instead of, it's just a personal piece that I'm just gonna say screw it and do whatever I want with it. I really wanted to make sure it had some depth and a lot of roundness, and so I wanted to recreate that in the lines of the cell shading and then make a really nice soft and luminous glow over everything. The light source that I chose is, imaginative behind her slightly, and from our view, the top right. And as you can see, I started to realize that it was almost a little too plain, even though that shading was giving some nice dimension. So I wanted to add a little bit of gold to give some more whimsy, some polka dots in the dress. And then I realized that my friend had this beautiful wire-wrapped piece with like little different gems inside in the shape of a half moon. And so I wanted to recreate that in a cartoon sense so that it would also be more of a representation of her, because she loves to wear that necklace, which was actually wire wrapped by another friend and co-worker of mine, because she didn't really have anything going on in the center, and I thought it really evened out everything, and it added just a little bit of detail that pulled everything together. Of course, because I added it almost when I had finished all of the shading, I had to go ahead and reshade all of this and then make sure that that was represented on her sternum as well. But it ended up turning out really well, and I'm really glad that I thought of that. Now, as I finish up here, reshading everything, we are coming to the end of this video, and I would like to thank everyone for watching and joining me on my very first Speeddraw video, and I hope to see all of you in the future. I will hopefully be able to put my link down. I had some technical difficulties with YouTube, but hopefully you'll be able to see a link to my website where I'll have some information about some commissions and some examples of my other art. And I will see you next week in another Speeddraw. Thanks for watching.